Okay, great. So let's move on to the next question. It says, which equation represents the graph function? Okay, so they're telling you that you have 0, comma 3 as your y-intercept, and then you have another coordinate, which is at 3, comma 2, right? So first of all, how do we find which equation will represent our function? Well, we know that it's supposed to be a negative slope, right? So that's why, because we have the slope-intercept form presented, then we can actually root out the things that, or I guess the options that we shouldn't be looking at. So because it's a negative slope, therefore we need to compare B or D. Does that make sense? Because we know that here you have a slope of positive 3, right? And here for part C, you have a slope of positive 3. So you don't really want that because you know that it's a positive slope. And just by looking at your graph, you know that this is a negative slope. Okay, so let's see. Which equation represents the graph function? Okay, because you have 0, comma 3 and 3, comma 2, you can actually find what the slope is based from these two. So 0, comma 3 and 3, comma 2. So let's write that. So if you have 0, comma 3 and 3, comma 2, right? So just by looking at this, you can find what the slope is, right? If you recall, we have this y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So we know what x1 is, we know what y1 is, we also know what x2 is, and we also know what y2 is. So y2 is 2, right? And as you can see, this formula has the negative sign, so make sure that if you have a negative coordinate, just distribute that. So you have negative, and then you have y1, which is 3, and then your x2 is 3, right? Then your x1 is 0. Okay, great. So there we go. So we have 2 minus 3, which is equal to negative 1. And underneath this is basically 3 minus 0, which is equal to 3. So as you can see, we have m is equal to negative 1 over 3, right? So that's our slope, right? So if we have that as our slope, and also on top of that, we know that we have a y-intercept, right? So this is our y-intercept because it's 0, comma 3. So we know that our b value must be equal to 3. Does that make sense? Because we're looking for the slope-intercept form, since those are the options that were provided to us. So in that case, you would have y, which is equal to negative 1 over 3x, and this is plus 3. And we're not yet done because, as you can see, the options that they provided us, everything is in terms of a whole number, which are not in fractions. So yeah, let's go back to this. Yeah, everything here, as you can see, they're all in terms of whole numbers, right? Like B and D, for example, which are the options we're kind of choosing, right? There's no fractions in here, right? So that means for this, right, we need to turn this into a whole number equation, right? So if you have this 3 over here, for this to become a whole number, you need to multiply your entire equation by 3, right, to eliminate this denominator. So you would have 3y, which is equal to negative x, and this is basically plus 9. Does that make sense? So when you kind of rearrange this, you're going to get negative x, right, minus 3y, which is equal to 9. I mean, it's pretty much 3y is equal to negative x plus 9. If you try to move this to the opposite side, this 3y, it becomes negative 3y. Or maybe we can actually change this negative x and turn that into a positive x. So if we move this negative x to the opposite side, we get x plus 3y, which is equal to 9, right? So regardless, we don't have that option, right? Okay, let's go back to the question. Yeah, we don't have that option. So apparently there is... Yeah, so apparently, as you can see, it's not within the following options. But I guess this is the solution, right? So let's see what they're saying. So you have y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, and that's right, the slope is negative 1 over 3. You have a y-intercept at 3, therefore its y is equal to negative 1 over 3x plus 3. Hence, option D is the only answer. No, this is not the answer. This is negative 13. It's supposed to be negative 1 over 3. I guess they have a typo, but it's not D. Definitely it's not D because it's negative 13x the way they're presenting that. So maybe we can make a comment. Okay, so here's what we're going to say. Options A to D, or actually, the answer is not provided in options A to D. So the answer is not provided in options A to D. The answer is negative 1 over 3x plus 3, which is equal to y. So negative 1 over 3, and this is x plus 3. So that's the answer. However, the solutions that they provided is correct, or explanation. Okay, great. So the answer is not provided in options A to D. The answer is negative, so y is equal to negative 1 over 3x, and this is plus, we said it was plus 3. Okay, so second point is basically, however, the explanation that was provided is correct. Specifically, slope is equal to negative 1 over 3, and y-intercept is equal to 3. Okay, great. Solution is correct. That's right.